What's going on YouTube? It is Texans Takeover back with another video. In today's video, I have my predictions for Week 18 of the NFL. This is a pretty pivotal week because, as you can see, the Texans, my favorite team down here, in the fifth seed. If they win and the Jaguars lose, well, I'll just show you here. If the Titans end up beating the Jaguars, then you can see that the Texans would end up attaining the 3 seed. But if not, we're the 5 seed, and we have to look at this game on Sunday night to see who are playing in the first round of the playoffs between the Ravens and the Steelers. So, um, yeah, it's going to be intriguing to see how everything plays out. Obviously, if the Steelers and Ravens tie, then the Steelers win the division. But we're going to start off over in the NFC with this Saturday slate. You've got the Carolina Panthers versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Winner takes the division. The only way that that doesn't happen is, let's say the Buccaneers win, but then the Falcons win, then the Panthers end up taking the division at 8-9. So it's a little ridiculous there. You see, no other division is going to have an 8-9 winner. Team below 500. The AFC North is probably the closest, but at the same time, I think the Steelers potentially pull that off with TJ Watt coming back. I do think Lamar Jackson's headed back for the Ravens, but I don't think he'll be fully healthy. So it's yet to be determined um, how the Ravens will do there. Um, but back to the NFC, you have the Panthers versus the Buccaneers. I think the home field advantage is going to play pivotal in this game. I think the Buccaneers fans are going to be rowdy. They're going to be all up for it. And, I think the Panthers have shown a lot of shakiness at times, albeit the Buccaneers have as well. Started out the season 5-2, now they're 7-9, so they're 2-7 in their last 9 games, which is never a record for success, but they're still here with a chance to head to the playoffs, so there's an opportunity for them there if, everything goes the way it needs to. And the way the tiebreaker works is that the Buccaneers and Panthers, if let's say the Buccaneers win, then they would have the same division record, but I believe get the tiebreaker because of conference record there. But if the Falcons win it and they go 8-9, the Falcons don't have a chance to make the playoffs because the Panthers swept the Falcons. But because the Falcons tied with the Buccaneers in terms of season series 1-1, then that would elevate the Panthers to the number one spot in the division. But in my humble opinion, I think the Buccaneers are going to be able to pull this one out on Saturday. Tomorrow is when these games happen. I believe this game's around 3:30. Um, and yeah, I think the Buccaneers see it through. I don't really see a way that the Panthers win this game. I do think they're a very solid team. There is a chance that they do. It's hard for me to see, especially traveling away to Tampa Bay and seeing how the first game went when they, relied on last or you know the fourth quarter heroics to pull that game out even at home. So we'll see. But in my opinion, I think the Buccaneers do win this game. Moving on to the second Saturday game, you got the Seahawks versus the 49ers. Winner takes the 1 seed regardless of what happens. You see 49ers win, they take the 1 seed. Seahawks win, they keep the 1 seed. They're at the 1 seed right now. Um, the Bears are eliminated from the 1 seed as well as the Eagles, so it's really whoever wins this game. Rams are gone because the Falcons ended up beating them on Monday Night Football, so they're probably going to rest their starters, take the 6th seed because I believe they're locked into the 6th seed no matter what happens. So you can see them rest their starters, and the Arizona Cardinals potentially win a game. But I still think that wouldn't happen. But back to the Seahawks 49ers, I think with the Seahawks, if you limit the turnovers, you put Sam Darnold in a rhythm where he can just, play his game the entire game, then um, I think they'll be in a position where they're able to win this game. But I just think the 49ers have been rolling. Brock Purdy's playing elite level of football as of recent. And I think, with that quarterback play, with the way that Christian McCaffrey's been playing, it's going to propel them to win ultimately. Um, and they're going to take the 1 seed headed into the playoffs. So all roads lead to Levi Stadium. I believe the Super Bowl might be in San Francisco this year too. I could be wrong, but they're going to have the home field advantage in this game. And I do think that Brock Purdy playing the way that he is going to be able to dice up that Seahawks defense that has been great this year. But I think the offensive line, defensive line battle is going to prove key. And I think the 49ers will be able to hold their own in this game. And the Seahawks ultimately trickle down to the 5 seed with a 13-4 record and have to play a Buccaneers or Panthers team that is 8-9. Um, now we're over to the 12 o'clock slate on Sunday. I'm going to start over here on the left hand side with my favorite team, the Houston Texans, going against the Indianapolis Colts. I think, it's pretty self explanatory. The Colts have Riley Leonard. I think the Texans defense is going to be able to shut them down. I don't know how much the starters are going to play with the Texans. I think it's a case of, if the Titans Jaguars game is close, then we'll keep our starters in. But if you can see the Jaguars are pulling away pretty comfortably, then um, I think we'll pull our starters, get them as much rest as they can, headed over to either Baltimore or Pittsburgh. But there is potential for a division win tomorrow, so there's a good shot that the Texans do end up playing their starters in this game. And I'm going to pick the Texans in this one. I don't think it's very ridiculous, but at the same time, I do think a 12-5 Texans team, they're going to want to lock in that 5 seed because I believe that they trust playing the Steelers over playing the Red Hot Jaguars, and the Jaguars, we'll see what I have them doing against the Titans there. Um, Over to the Browns Bengals. I think the Bengals don't really have much to lose, much to win either, nor do the Browns. But I think the Bengals offense will be able to have their way against the Browns. So I'm going with Joe Burrow there to just pull off a win. Hopefully give them some momentum headed into the post or the off season for them, not the postseason. Excuse me. Um, to hopefully have some positive outlook and hopefully Joe Burrow is content enough to stay in Cincinnati with a couple of wins heading into the offseason, but never really know there. Moving on to another pivotal matchup, though, you got the Titans versus the Jaguars. As much as I want to go Titans, I'm going to go with the Jaguars here at the. Um, Sorry, I don't know why I just paused. Yeah, I'm going with the Titans over, or at the Jaguars over the Titans to win the AFC South. That's ultimately going to put them in the 3 seed. Um, yeah, I think it's a great matchup there for the Jaguars to really clinch a division. Although divisional matchups are always tough, you never know what's going to happen with them, and sometimes the Titans and Jaguars always split. No matter how bad the Titans are, no matter how bad the Jaguars are. But I just think this Jaguars team is rolling. I think Liam Cohen has them playing their best football at the right time, similar to the Houston Texans. So that's why I have the Jaguars beating the Titans on Sunday at 12 o'clock. Moving back over to the NFC side, you have the Green Bay Packers playing the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm actually going to go with the Vikings win here. I know this may sound a little bit ridiculous, but there is no chance for the Packers to move up um, to the 6th seed, even if they win here. So yeah, I'm going with the Vikings here to beat the Packers. I think they'll just rest their starters, try to get a little bit more healthy before they go to the playoffs. And the Vikings have been playing great football as of late. I don't know if JJ McCarthy's back this week or if it's Max Brosmer, but yeah, I think the Packers won't really mind losing this game. Um, they're already the 7th seed. A win or loss doesn't change the fact that they are the 7th seed. So I think they just rest their starters and try to go into the playoffs with a clean slate, where they likely have a matchup against the Bears or the Eagles, which are two opponents that I think the Packers would really be able to beat here. Moving on to another pivotal matchup. I know I'm saying a lot of pivotal matchups, but there's barely any divisions clinched right now. You can see the AFC or NFC West isn't clinched. The NFC North is, and the NFC East is. NFC South is not. AFC South isn't. Um, AFC North isn't. It's just 4 out of the 8 divisions are clinched, so there is a lot of pivotal matchups in this game or in this week. So we'll see how these games stack up. But this one, you got the New Orleans Saints versus the Falcons. This game actually determines if the Panthers or the Buccaneers go to the playoffs. If the scenario that I um, predicted does happen, where the Buccaneers win, obviously if the Panthers win, then they clinch the division. Albeit, I don't see that. And right now I have all the home teams winning, which is a little bit bizarre. But um, yeah, here you got the Falcons versus the Saints. Both have been playing very, very good football. And if the Falcons win, then the Panthers win the division. If the Saints win, then the Buccaneers win the division. So, I know you don't like to root for your in division rivals, but Panthers fans, if they lose, are going to be huge Falcons fans. And Buccaneers fans are going to be huge Saints fans. The Saints have been rolling at the right time. Tyler Shuck has been playing great football, building a connection with Chris Olave within the last couple of weeks. And, I think this Saints offense, although they were down in the dumps, is going to be too much for this Falcons defense to really handle. And I think it may be a shootout type of game, but I see the Saints pulling this one through. And that means the Buccaneers win the division. And I will show you all how the playoff picture ends up looking after I predict all these games because it just takes a click. I'm not going to predict the playoffs for anyone, but I'm just going to show you how the playoff picture does look. Here we have I'm going to go back to the left-hand side, the Chiefs versus the Raiders. The Raiders are just going to tank this game. I know how bad the Chiefs are with no Patrick Mahomes, with a lot of players just out on IR like Trent McDuffie, but I think the Raiders are just not a great team, and I think they're going to try their hardest to lose this game. Although they have locked in the first overall pick, I believe, unless if they win here and the Titans lose, then the Titans get the number one overall pick. Unless maybe it would be a three-way tie between the Cardinals, Raiders, and Titans. And the Titans beat the Cardinals, so it would be the Cardinals that get the number one overall pick. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs here. I just don't think the Raiders are gonna try to win this game at all. I think they want to secure that number one overall pick and get Fernando Mendoza over to Las Vegas. So it's pretty self-explanatory why I see them losing this game because I genuinely don't think they're gonna try to win that game. And then you got another very important matchup here. You got the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Denver Broncos. If the Chargers beat the Broncos, then the Jaguars move up to the 2 seed, and they would have a matchup versus the Buffalo Bills, most likely in the playoffs. If not, if the Broncos win, then the Chargers are going to move down to the 7 seed. If you see the Bills beating um, the Jets, which I think a lot of people do. In this matchup, you do have the Broncos who are playing for something. The Chargers are just playing for playoff seeding at this point. If the Texans beat the Colts, they're guaranteed the 6 or the 7 seed. So it's just you kind of pick your matchup if you're the Chargers. Would you like to go to Foxborough and play the Patriots, or would you like to go to Jacksonville and play the Jaguars? I think most teams here would like to go to Foxborough and play the Patriots because I just don't think they're that great of a side. And, I think the Chargers defense will be able to have their way with the Patriots offense. So, um, yeah, I see them not really trying too hard to win this game. I think they're going to prioritize Justin Herbert's health after that hand surgery that he had over um, a win in this one because they already clinched the playoff spot. It's just where they're going to be. And I have the Denver Broncos winning this one. Moving on to the Bills versus Jets. I think this is pretty self-explanatory as well. Going with the Bills in this one. Jets don't really have much to play for. The Bills have playoff seeding to play for. And I think they do fare well against that Jaguars team because the Jaguars are very good at stopping the run, but I don't think they'll be very good at stopping Josh Allen with his legs because they haven't really played that dynamic of quarterbacks. And I think the Jags are a beatable team, but I also think they're a great team. They can put it on any defense in the NFL, bar maybe the Texans or the Seahawks. Two of the best defenses in the NFL, and the Texans defense has been able to put it on anyone. So that's not really a hit to the Jaguars. I just think the Texans defense is elite. But I think the Jaguars offense would have plenty of answers for the Texans defense, and I think that'd be a great game. But in this scenario, the Bills winning would have them playing the Jaguars in the first round of the playoffs, and I think that'd be a very intriguing matchup. Um, and that moves us over to the other um, AFC East matchup. Excuse me. You got the Miami Dolphins versus the New England Patriots, and you're playing at the same time as the Denver Broncos. So I think you're playing your starters. You're trying to win to secure that 1 seed, but ultimately it's not enough. I do think you win this game. And if you see the Broncos are out to a lead versus the Chargers, then potentially you end up resting starters. But um, yeah, I see the Broncos getting the 1 seed. I see the Broncos being able to get that week of rest and then potentially having a matchup versus the Chargers in the first round or second round of the playoffs. Excuse me. Um, Moving back over to the right hand side, you got the Dallas Cowboys versus the New York Giants. And I think the Cowboys win this one pretty handily. I think the Cowboys offense will have too many answers for the Giants, who just aren't a great football team, all things considered. And I think the Cowboys will try to move into the offseason with some momentum, um, finishing at their 8-8 record that they're infamous for. So there is that with the Cowboys. I think they end up winning, although it hurts their draft pick a little bit. I think they'll prefer the win to set a team culture and momentum headed into next season. Moving on to the Cardinals versus Rams here. Again, I think the Rams are going to rest their starters, but I still think they have enough quality to beat the Cardinals, who are without Marvin Harrison Jr. this week. And I just don't think they really have a will to win. I think they're going to want to lose this game to secure um, a top 5, top 4 draft pick. Um, so that's why I have them losing in this one. Moving on to the Lions versus Bears. Um, I see this as a very even matchup. I don't think the Lions are really going to care to win this game. But I also think, if you win this game, it doesn't really change where you are, besides knocking down the Bears in their playoff seeding, where they'd have a matchup versus the Rams rather than the Packers. So I think the Bears are really going to care to win this one because I think they'd rather the Packers than the Rams by a landslide. So for me, I think the home team is going to be able to get the advantage in this one. I think they're going to win this game against the Lions, whose defense is just not great. And I think the Bears carry this momentum into the playoffs to play the Packers in the opening game. Last but not least, on Sunday, you got the Commanders versus the Eagles. I believe they play at the same time as the Bears, so they're going to play their starters in hopes to secure the 2 seed, so they have a matchup against the Packers rather than the Rams. But I think they win this one, but I ultimately think their playoff seeding doesn't move because I believe that the Bears win, um, and that means that the Eagles will have a matchup versus the Rams in the opening round of the playoffs. Moving on to the last game and one of the most pivotal games of this weekend, you have this game, these 2 games, and this game that are pretty big deciders of what's going to happen, as well as these 2 games potentially. But I really think the Jaguars will just have their way. Um, this is a Sunday night football game over in Pittsburgh. One thing that, you know, I think is a deciding factor is the fan base. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers fans are going to be rowdy. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be on top of his game, and if there's one team that knows how to stop Lamar Jackson, it is either the Chargers or the Steelers. So, yeah, I think the Steelers will have their way in this game. They were able to beat the Ravens away from home, so there's nothing that's telling me they can't beat them at home. So for this one, I'm going to have the Steelers beating the Ravens, and I just think that Ravens defense is not going to have answers for Kenneth Gainwell or Jalen Warren again. I don't know if DK Metcalf is back or not, which could be a deciding factor in this game. But at the same time, I think Lamar Jackson's not healthy, and he's going to try to push himself back and just ultimately not look too great in this game with TJ Watt coming back for the Steelers as well. So if we go to the wild card round, you see I have it as the Seahawks traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers, the Rams moving to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles, the Packers moving over to Chicago to take on the Bears, Texans headed over to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers, Bills headed over to Jacksonville, so some warm weather for the Bills there to play the Jaguars, and the Chargers headed over to Foxborough to play the Patriots, and then um, you got the Broncos and the 49ers as the 1 seeds controlling who comes out of that conference. So that's my Week 18 predictions. Please let me know what y'all think down below. If you think something else happens, maybe the Panthers win the division, or the Ravens win the division, or the Eagles get the 2 seed and the Bears get the 3 seed, or the Seahawks get the 1 seed, 49ers get the 5 seed, Texans win the division, Jaguars move over to the 5 seed. Let me know what y'all think down below. I do have a lot of fun making prediction videos just because I talk the way I see it. And this is the way I see everything stacking up. So, yeah, let me know what y'all think down below. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe. And as always, it's Texans Takeover, and I'm out. Peace.